I will quickly just take you through some of the things that probably we put prominence in when it comes to putting up a compelling job application. The first point of contact between you and a potential employer is a written document, and we call it a CV. I'd just like to pose a question, and probably, guys, you could put in your chat, or if anyone wants to respond, you can actually unmute. So what is a resume? This is a document that is very vital in a search process. It's actually a document that showcases your qualifications, your achievement, experiences, and it helps you to market yourself to any potential employer should you want to secure an opportunity. I would like to state that, a good resume should be that which would actually make a very strong first impression. And we're going to talk about how do you ensure, how do you actually put up one that would actually create that impression. I've highlighted a few things on my definition of a resume. I have mentioned that it highlights your qualifications. I think in so doing, it also demonstrates your professionalism, because it actually highlights what are some of the things that you've been able to do and your achievements. And also, for an employer, it actually just looks at matching your requirements and that of what the employer is actually looking for. So really, that's really a snapshot, a quick definition of a resume. And this document should help you stand out from your competition and increases the chances of actually being called into a face-to-face conversation, which is an interview. If you look at a properly well-crafted resume, needs to have the following components. I think at the end of this, I'm going to probably highlight and show a few of examples of some of the resumes that probably, and just to look at, is it a good one? Is it one that is a little bit too wordy? Is it one that probably will not catch the eye of an employer? The contents there of a good resume, it should have, your personal details, which includes your name, phone number, email address. And for those who would like to include their LinkedIn profile, it makes it even easier for somebody to actually link you and actually see more details about yourself when they click onto your LinkedIn profile, for those who already have created one. After that, there is always a brief statement that we will always help you outline your career goals and highlight, helps also the hiring manager to quickly understand what your strengths and it also sets the tone for the resume, and that is the objective. A brief statement, just highlighting your career goals and what you bring to the table. It should not be long. It should be very brief, as stated. Your education, please make this very crisp. What you've earned, what are your majors, what are the graduation dates? You need to be very clear. And in most cases, for students, if you don't have relevant high experience, it will be good probably just to highlight a little bit more on some of the achievements in terms of your education. But those who have had stints in terms of, have had an opportunity, have gone into a little bit of on the job details, it just showcases, it brings out some of the, it brings out a personality, it brings out to the employer the makeup of the individual in the sense that you've been able to be involved in a structured or in an institution, and probably you understand some of the ethos that are required in a work environment. Don't forget your skills, both technical and soft skills. For some of you who've been able to participate and in extracurricular activities, it will be good to highlight this. It just shows how you are able to integrate and associate with your colleagues. Elements of teamwork are always evident here. Elements of leadership are always evident here, depending on what role you actually played that was extra. Highlight any achievement and awards that you've had in the course of your studies, be it academic, be it any recognition that you've achieved as you are doing your studies. It's important that you also just bring out a little bit of what your other interests are, because it also showcases it also brings out you as an individual and your personality. Above all, it's not all about work. It's always good to highlight some of the things that you do. If you participate in any community event, if you are a sport person, please highlight them, because it just showcases that you're in touch with reality, and you have, above all, that there is in the workplace, you are able to involve yourself in other activities. I will quickly go into how do you ensure that your document is one that is enticing and one that will catch the eye of an employer, and that we go into how you format your document. Be very clear and simple. Be very concise in the sense that, each and every item that you have to highlight in terms of whether it's your experiences, whether it's the achievement, you highlight and you specify the areas very clear, and don't be too wordy in your explanation. If it is possible, keep your resume to 1 or 2 pages. I think you've probably come across CVs that are probably 4 or 5 pages long. When somebody, as an employer, if I'm looking for someone, I'll quickly go into, I'll want a very summarized view of who you are and what you've been able to do and what your interests are. So that should make up at least, 2 pages. Your font should be professional. Avoid sort of like look at resume, use normal professional fonts, and maintain a consistent format. It will be important that the descriptors of whatever you've done, especially on your experiences, are words that are specific to the job or the industry. And I will insist on just letting you know that at times it's good to use verbs that are that describe your accomplishments, such like I achieved, I developed, I led, we managed, or I managed, we implemented. Such things actually show your involvement in the stuff or the activity that was at hand in your experience. And I think, having said that, I will move on to what are some of the things that you need to be aware of, the do's and don'ts. Really, I've highlighted a few of them. It's important, and I know this is not news, it's important that you tailor your resume for each application. Make sure that you've proofread your document to ensure that there are no mistakes and or grammatical errors. If possible, ask somebody to proofread it for you. At times, you know, when you do things for yourself, you might not be able to see one or two mistakes. I think it will be important that you quantify your achievements, and this is a very big thing. And I think in my conversation, I have probably talked about achievements. I've mentioned the word achievement in quite a number of instances. It's actually what makes you stand out. So if it is possible, ensure that you quantify these very clearly. What are some of the don'ts? Basic. Don't include irrelevant information. In my case, I would say information like these days, like age, date of birth, gender, religion, relationship status, we should avoid. You know, there are some people who will even tell you the relationship status is it's complicated. Please never put some of those in your CVs. Nationality, not important. Some of those things are also now inscribed into the form part and parcel of private information that really you can only provide upon request and when you've allowed the recipient of that information to utilize that information. So it goes against data privacy laws, you know, for somebody to utilize their information. So if you provide it, you're actually giving consent to that person to actually utilize that information. Avoid the use of acronyms, short forms, or terminologies that are not universal. If you've worked in an institution and probably there are some certain titles or acronyms that have been used, never assume that they are universal in nature and they are going to be applicable to company X. They probably might be very different. If you have to provide detail, you know, kindly ensure that that is actually inscribed in its full form. Short forms like when somebody wants to write what are the short forms that you guys probably will resonate with? Like, by the way, you will probably don't use short forms for by the way, something, don't use short forms or something. Just ensure that you are actually detailing everything in the right grammatical format. Don't make your document to be too colorful and include a lot of designs. And that also just talks to, you know, the part that I did say, ensure that your document is very simple. And don't exaggerate your skills and experiences. You will be caught. I'll tell you, when we look at CVs, at a point where we're actually having interviews, most of the time we relate to what you've actually presented on paper, and we ask questions, that actually touch on the stuff that you've actually put on paper. So if you exaggerate or lie, then we will be able to pick it up. And in most cases, probably the employer will not be able to tell you that this is, you actually exaggerating something. You've actually exaggerated something that was actually not the true picture of who you are. So that just talks to, you know, being authentic, and let's avoid lies in our CVs because you will be caught. We have certain, it's not certain emails that probably might be seen, or certain information might be seen to be unprofessional. It's like, you know, some email addresses that we've coined for ourselves. If you do have a fancy one that probably will raise the eyebrows of an employer, please try and see to it that you have, you know, email addresses that will not be misconstrued as non-professional. Just to end with a few tips. Try as much as possible to submit your resume as a PDF. It's not bad to, and I did mention it before, it's not bad to reach out for somebody else to look at your document, and keep on updating your document as you gain new experiences and skills. If you're submitting your CV to an organization, make sure that the information that is there is up to date. If you've left an institution or an organization, please make it very clear that you've actually left the organization. People always forget to make that clear. So they go into an interview session and they start talking about organization X, yet that has not been, that does not reflect, it's not reflective on the CV. So each and every time, as you are looking at presenting your documentation to an employer, make sure that your document is up to date and relevant. I would just like to share with you a few CVs that before we get there. And I did ask, I just wanted to know, the makeup of the people I'm actually having conversations with, because at different stages in your career, I will probably be highlighting and focusing and laying emphasis on certain areas. Now, considering most of you, as Kelvin did mention, are students, and I did say that you might not have the requisite experience, or you might not have had an opportunity of having had a stint in any organization. But as a student, your resume should actually be looking at highlighting your potential, your skills, achievement, and most of the time, just focus on your knowledge and experiences gained when you are actually at school. And don't forget, the extracurricular activities are really very important as well. So if you don't have any other experiences, this is your experience, and that's the makeup of who you are. Don't feel that it is less. No, that is you, and that is probably what the employer might be looking out for. So allow me to just share with you a few resumes, and I'll be posing questions as you look at probably 2 or 3 of these resumes. You tell me probably what you feel is wrong or right in this resume. So the first one is that by this gentleman, Mr. Charles. What is wrong with that, or what is right with that resume?
The font is unprofessional.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I didn't get who was speaking, but it's true. The font is rather unprofessional. The next one. What's right or wrong with that resume? There is no wrong answer.
I would say it exceeds the 2-page mark. It has more than 2 pages.
Yeah, it's too lengthy. It's probably, if you look at the document, probably if given more paper, this person, Mr. Bill, would have actually done 4 or 5 pages. So it's too wordy. If in a situation where somebody is screening for and looking for probably 10 CVs to be subjected to an interview, and you have like 100, the person looking at the CVs might not be able to actually go and scan through your document to the end. And probably it's a very it's too long. And the last, what's wrong with that with that resume.
It's a scanned document, eh?
Yeah, thanks, Cornelius. It's a scanned document. So this person, scanned it, and I think the scanner didn't do the person justice. And you can see the document is not also very clear. Secondly, they have provided too much information that are personal in nature that I will actually ask that we try as much as possible to avoid. It's not that it's bad, but we are also very aware of the data protection laws. And I will probably ask that you prevent somebody from being tempted to use your information. So just provide the relevant information that is required, your name, your email address, and probably your and the basic things that are detailed probably on the contact information, including your name. So with that, I'll end my presentation. But just to also, before I get into question and answer, because I wanted to spend a little bit of more time on that. Preceding or attached to the CV or your resume, you are always asked, can you probably do a letter of introduction, stating why you feel or why you should be the person who is selected for the job. Now, this is this actually gives you an opportunity to probably in summary highlight some of the things that you believe you are capable of. And in most cases, if the content of your letter needs to reflect what the job the job requires, and what you believe you do have that uniquely probably qualifies you to be the right person for the job. So it's a statement of intent by you stating that I am actually the right person and I should be selected because of 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, don't over duplicate your resume on the letter. If you have to make it short, make it short, but don't make it, again, this is not, you don't write a thesis in the sense that you fill a full page in such a manner that, the only spaces that are left are the margins. Please make it very concise and relevant to the job. So this is one area where the employer just wants you to make an inference onto what you possess and what he requires. So, and again, in some of these, when somebody really wants to look at whether there is some correlation between your CV and the letter and what the job entails, you will actually read your document. And you will realize that in most interviews, at times, the team that is actually interviewing you will probably focus on what you have actually written, and they will ask you to elaborate. That shows you that you really probably caught the eye, or you really positioned yourself, and they just want to get a little bit of more detail as to your achievement or what you're capable of, noting what you've actually put down on your application. So having said that, I open the floor for questions. I am sure probably a number of you have, and I open myself to answer some of the concerns that you guys have. Yes, Kizito.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I would like to ask, is there a specific order in which we are supposed to arrange this document in case we are not sending it electronically, but you're supposed to deliver at maybe the office?
Okay. So so your CV, whether whether it's going to be presented by hand or it's going to be sent electronically, the format should not be any different. Because whatever you're actually going to present by hand, if at all you are presenting it, it's a representation of what you have, it's a document that you just printed. So the order, as I did detail on the contents, should be uniform. So there is their contact information, there is the summary of, talking about your objective statement, then there's education, then there is the relevant experience, your skills, any other activities that or achievements I've had, and then you end it with the references. But again, some people always say that you don't have to put the references. It's not a must. But don't. I will also discourage you from putting the statement that references will be available upon request. If you don't want to put on references, just leave it as that. The employer, as and when they will want to seek additional information about you, they will be able to ask you, kindly provide us with the references. Or should you have worked in any organization, they have direct contact with those organizations and they will actually seek for that reference. So the order of the resume should be just as that. Again, on the experience and education here, either way, you can put your experience first, then your education later. There is no problem, but what needs to come out very clearly is your contact information needs to be clear, probably on the side or at the top. Your summary objective needs to be on the side or on the top. But those are the key things that probably needs to, start off your document.